What's up, guys? Okay, so this week we are going to be talking about Ruth chapter 4, 11 through 17. And it's titled It Will All Come Together. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy. I think I'm getting there. I need to go get my eyes checked.
You're getting old.
Yeah, even today, looking at like my patient's assignments, like I kept like, what does that say? But anyway, it's fine. Okay, Ruth 4, 11 through 17. All the people who were at the city gate, including the elders, said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is entering your house like Rachel and Leah, who together built the house of Israel. May you be powerful in Ephrathah." Sorry again for how I pronounce these names. And your name well known in Bethlehem. May your house become like the house of Perez, the son of Tamar, born to Judah, because of the offspring the Lord will give you by this young woman. Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. He slept with her, and the Lord granted conception to her, and she gave birth to a son. The women said to Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you without a family redeemer today. May his name become well known in Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. Indeed, your daughter-in-law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. Naomi took the child, placed him on her lap, and became a mother to him. The neighbor women said, "A son has been born to Naomi," and they named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. And I don't know why Ruth is like my favorite character in the whole Bible, and I think it's because of her faithfulness in such an uncomfortable situation. And I'm actually not even going to take like talking about really Ruth in this. I'm going to be talking about Naomi. Naomi and her family had left Bethlehem due to a famine in hopes of finding food for her family. They left and went to Moab, which was an unfamiliar land to them. When they enter, Naomi's husband dies, and all she has are her 2 sons left, who marry these women from Moab. And after 10 years, her sons then die, and she's left with a daughter-in-law who 2 of them, and tells them to actually stay in Moab while she goes back home. And one faithfully stays, and it's Ruth. And that's why Ruth gets a whole book in the Bible and Orpah doesn't. And this message, it's for anyone, and you can take it however you need to take it. But for me, it's how I took it. It was for someone who is in a place that they really didn't plan to go. And I'm in the middle of like trying to transition and trying to figure out what my next step is, because I don't want to be a floor nurse forever. I don't think my body can take being a floor nurse forever. Even today, I groaned every time I went to pick up something. I kept dropping things. I was so over it today. And maybe it's because I genuinely have just kind of hit my wall right now, and I need to take a serious break. I actually told them to take me off the schedule because I was like, I can't. You do not want me here the rest of the week, because I will mess up something. You've got to let me sleep. And thankfully, they could tell that I had hit my wall, and they were like, all right, yeah, you gotta go home and go to bed. I was like, thank you. But sometimes this is a place like, y'all, I don't want you to ever think that I hate nursing. I don't. I hate the politics around it, and I hate rules in general. Safety, that's another thing. Safety is good. I want us to protect ourselves and the patients, but when it's unnecessary things that just keep, and that's what it felt like today, just doctor after doctor kept telling me things that they could do on their own, and I was fed up, because while they're trying to give me orders, I had a patient who I had literally met them for 5 seconds, already decided they hated my guts. I was like, okay, I've got to go with this, because I still have to provide care, and he didn't really want my care. And sometimes that place, it becomes a place that I genuinely do hate. I hate the place. I don't hate the profession. And that was where I was at today. I was like, I have got to figure out a way to get out of this building. Because if I see that DeKalb sign one more time, I'm going to go insane. And here you have Naomi and her family. They went from Bethlehem to Moab. Moab was not a desired place at all, but they had to go there. And there, they did experience a great loss, but I'm about to kind of show you the beauty and how it genuinely does all come together. Hence the title, even though I hate how cliche it is. But I want to talk about something that was said earlier actually in Ruth, and it's in Ruth 3:19 through 20. And Naomi introduces herself as a different name, and it's Mara. Mara means bitter. After the death of 2 sons and a husband, Naomi introduces herself as Mara and not Naomi, and it's as an expression of just her grief. She's just trying to express like how bitter she is about her circumstances. And I know that there are plenty of y'all that have probably felt like that, where you just become a little bit bitter, even if it's for 5 seconds. I promise you there is a moment where you have just genuinely felt bitter. You get tired, you get frustrated, exhausted, upset, overwhelmed, and it seems like you are in a whole season of just hit after hit, that nothing's going right. And if you've ever watched boxing or wrestling, sometimes you see one opponent hit the other over and over again. And once their head starts to go down, the hits come faster. And it's still one after the other. The one throwing the punch and sees you already going down, and so they take advantage of your disadvantage. And the enemy will do that over and over and over again. And sometimes you get into that season of life and it feels like you can't win. And Naomi feels that way. She didn't just lose a husband. She didn't just lose 1 son. She lost 2 and a husband. Her whole family's gone. Besides these 2 women she's only known for 10 years, who are she's in a foreign land that she's not used to. And when I say just, I keep putting like that. She didn't just lose the husband. And it makes it seem kind of little when it really isn't, right? And then when I tell you that she's also lost the sons and the husband, it makes it seem a little bit bigger. But what I want y'all to kind of catch on to is the fact that sometimes when you start to talk to other people, or even yourself may do this, oh, well, it's just this, and you start to tell the other person that. What happens when you get told that in a season that feels like an absolute mountain and you can't climb it? That just stings. And she was going back to Bethlehem, which means house of bread. And there is a famine in this house of bread. That is so disappointing. And how depressing it is that you have to go back to a home that is referred to as the house of bread and there's actually no food. It's like going to the fudge shop in Dahlonega on the town square, and then you walk in and they're like, sorry, no fudge. Or when the joy of the Lord is supposed to be your strength and you're a Christian and you're depressed or anxious. And you're a Christian and you can't sleep at night. And you're a Christian and you have addictions. And these are real people in real life situations that I encounter every day. And they think just because I'm the nurse coming in, talking to them, they feel like I don't have my own things struggling with. And they're like, well, am I really a Christian if I'm like doing this or that? And it's like, yes, but where are you headed? Who are you trying to reach? Who are you following? And Naomi, when she still didn't have her sons or her husband, she still followed God. She was still with him, and he was still with her, and he is still with you, even in your bitterness and your brokenness. He knew the woman that was bitter in chapter 1 would be holding a baby in chapter 4. No matter how little the loss seems or the challenge seems, in the rough and exhausting seasons you can be in compared to other people's lives, it is still a big deal to you. It affects you. It affects you. One thing I don't want to do is belittle these Mara seasons by saying something as cliche as this title, that it will all come together. Because the last thing a person wants going through a difficult season is a cliche line like that. They're not seeing the big picture. They feel like they are fighting everyone and anyone that moves, and you're trying to throw the cliche lines at them. That's happened to me. Even I have caught myself saying that to someone struggling, and then I have to kind of retract and be like, it's true, you will see it, but not right now. And it will come together, but that doesn't feel good in that moment. And like telling someone who just lost all her family, well, God is still good. Yes, God is still good, but that doesn't mean the situation still can't hurt. It still can't sting, and you still can't mourn. And Naomi admits she's bitter and she's mourning. And during her mourning, she still held on dearly to the Lord because he still had something good for her, but it had to come together. And that kind of transitions into like the next part I want to talk about is God is still good. Another cliche line, sorry. Sometimes we can look at the story of Naomi or Job. I love Job. Or honestly, any person in the Bible who was living for the Lord, and think how obscure it is that God is good when all of these bad and awful and tragic things keep happening to them. I don't know anyone in this Bible, and if y'all ever find one, please let me know, of someone who didn't struggle, didn't go through some type of rough trial or challenge and have to call upon the Lord. There's not a single one that I have found. And it's reflex almost like to sometimes look at a situation or circumstance you are in and think, God, are you really that good? And I have been there where I have been like, God, are you sure this is what's supposed to happen? Are you really being good right now to me? If you're good, then why is this bad thing happening? I see a ton of rough situations going on at work with the patients, and I'm like, how can someone who seems so kind and compassionate really be struggling with this? And God never said things would be easy in your life. And it's hard to counsel these people that genuinely believe that. It is hard when they're asking for your advice as a Christian. And I have to really just be honest with them. And God never said these things. God never said all of these things would be good. The verse I'm referring to is actually Romans 8:28. We have a habit of reading these verses and stopping halfway through them. Like in 8:28, most say all things work together for good. They don't finish the rest of that verse. The rest of the verse says, we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. That means God doesn't decide what is good in your life based on your preference, but based on your purpose. And most don't even realize what they're saying when they say the beginning of that verse. God didn't say all things were good and left it at that. He said all things work together for the good. It's not a bunch of good things working together. It's the good, the bad, the rough, the exhausting, all working together to bring it together to make it good. There is such a difference in those two statements. And everything works together for his purpose. Naomi's purpose was still in the works. She still had the purpose that God had assigned to her, and she held on dear to that. The next part I want to talk about is we are not in control. And that is a very hard statement for me because I am type A. A bit of a control freak when it comes to my plan in life. My room, ignore the back because I'm not OCD about my laundry. I will let it sit for days unless I need clothes. Unfortunately, I needed scrubs this morning and I didn't have any clean ones. So they got what they got today. But God is the one who wrote the manual book for your life. He has it all written out in the book of life. And I feel the majority of us in our life have ordered something or decided to build something, and 8 out of 10 times it comes with step-by-step building instructions, right? Where do we put those? If we
Trash.
Yeah, we put it in the trash. My parents did that today and then were calling me for help because I ordered a stupid cat tree for the cats downstairs and asked me to send them a screenshot of a picture of the item. That's not going to get you anywhere. You don't know where the screws go, the bolt, nothing. And those things are a little more complicated than they may seem. I put together the last one and it took me an hour and a half and I was going by the instructions.
I'm guilty of that. I can't tell you the last time I looked at an instruction manual for anything.
No.
Because I'm a man.
What a man.
Who needs those instructions?
What a man.
You know? And then I get mad because I'm like, I really needed those.
Yeah, you get halfway through and then you decide to look at the manual, right? But then just to realize you didn't really put the first half together.
Yeah, and they forgot screws and they didn't have all the hardware.
Yep, you have the wrong pieces connecting to one another. Think about trying to do life without consulting your one true God who wrote your life out to begin with. Not being in control should provide us with some type of relief. At least some of us, like I said. Me, no, it doesn't. If you're type A, OCD, whatever it is, that control, that's the only thing really trying to keep you from panicking sometimes. Because that's the one thing you feel like, okay, I've got this. I'll hand everything else out to you, God, but let me handle this. But I want us to think about it like this. If I received an Apple Watch and it stopped working, am I going to take it to Apple or a random cell phone technology place for them to fix it? Because I've done that before. I've taken my Apple phone to that just to get a cheaper price, and let me tell you, I have found a hole in my phone after getting this phone back. So I will forever take my Apple products to Apple. Okay, but then if I bring it to Apple and I have just an employee who's only been working there for a few months come up to me and say, hey, I can fix this. Or if I have Steve Jobs say, no, I can do this. Who am I giving it to? I'm giving it to good old Steve Jobs. He's the creator. We bring our brokenness, our rough and painful, uncomfortable seasons to other people who, yes, will hear you out and be there. And we say, well, these are my Christian friends. They're going to do this and they're going to do that. They can't fix it though. They can't give you the type of help you need because they didn't write this part of the storyline in your life. They did not do that. And a lot of us look to our friends or our family for that type of comfort. And it's never gonna come. And that's actually why, I don't know why, but everyone keeps coming to me here lately for relationship advice, and I don't know why, because I really shouldn't be giving any. I don't know why. I really should not be giving any, okay? But what I am noticing is these people are jumping into these relationships depending on that person for happiness. If you can't be happy on your own, if you don't have a source of joy on your own, because happiness, that fades, you need to have the joy, okay? If you don't have that and you think, okay, this guy, this girl, that's gonna bring me the happiness. I want this absolute aesthetic relationships status going on. I want all the cute pictures. Yeah, the pictures are great. They're really cute. But is your relationship steady? No, because you're depending on someone for that happiness, that joy. God did not build us to be someone's source of joy. And sometimes we come in thinking, no, we got it. If you're me, I'm 100% all right, I got this. What do you need? And I do my best to people please it in there. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. They've got to figure it out on their own. And even circumstances, if it's not a relationship Are you depending on your circumstances to make you happy or joyful? Or are you looking at God for all things? Because all things come together for the good. And the last thing I want to talk about is pain is never the final word for the people of God. And this is where we're actually going to really talk about 11 through 17, because I know I've just kind of jumped everywhere, so I'm really sorry. But I want us to look at verse 11 again, okay? It says, we are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is entering your house like Rachel and Leah. Now, they are saying this several years later after the fact of Rachel and Leah. They're saying this after they've seen the blessing fully matured. Leah and Rachel were sisters, but they weren't exactly teammates, okay? They weren't like best friends. So this guy comes in, like most guys. They want Rachel. Rachel is just very attractive, okay? Jacob wants to marry Rachel. And Rachel is more attractive than Leah. And no, it does not just bluntly say this, but the amount of patience Jacob had to have to get to Rachel, I'd say she was pretty attractive. And Laban, the father of Rachel and Leah, kind of tricked Jacob and said, if you work for me for 7 years, you can have Rachel. He worked for 7 years for Rachel. And on the night of his wedding, next to him in bed was Leah, not Rachel. Laban said if he actually wants Rachel, he has to marry Leah. That's their culture. That's their custom, to marry the eldest. And then 7 years later, he can marry Rachel. But he still has to keep Leah. There's no swapping sides. Rachel, though, was barren to find out. Because Jacob he did all of that to get to Rachel. Leah, however, was not. It was one kid after the other. Leah wasn't attractive, but she was productive. Every Rachel comes with a Leah, and I don't want us just to looking at people and their attractiveness. It's any circumstance. Rachel was what Jacob loved and what he wanted. What do you want? What do you love? Who do you love? Everything you love is going to come with something you don't want. Not always in a bad way, but there are pros and cons even to loving a human being. But your circumstances, what you want, is going to come with something you don't want. Like right now. And I'm going to be very transparent. I try to be, at least with the things that I'm struggling with, because that's usually how I get the Bible study. Anyways, me trying to get to work with children. If I do get offered this job, I will be night shift. The last thing I want to do is night shift. But working with kids is what I want, and it's a desire on my heart, and I'm going to have to make sacrifices to kind of get where I want and where my heart genuinely desires to hopefully get a little bit more of what I want. Hopefully one day shift. It just depends. And maybe the desires of my heart will change. I don't know, because let's be honest, it literally changes all the time, because I jump from like, I want to be a nurse practitioner to I want to literally work outpatient and just work 5 days a week and get to go home early and like actually have the rest of the day to myself. Because working 12 hours, yeah, it's nice schedule wise, but coming home after 12 hours, I really don't want to do anything. I can't imagine like actually having a family and having to cook for children right now after 12 hours. I'm tired. And
Kaylee, she has to cook for Kyle.
Yeah, she actually cooks some really good, unless Kyle's cooking. Or Taylor, are you cooking those?
Just hot dogs and popcorn.
I mean, we do have Mexican on the way home from work today, but
Yeah, you just need Mountain Dew and hot dogs.
It's about 70-30 meat. He does help a lot. I cooked last night.
Lunchables and kid cuisine.
Well, listen. I can't cook anyways. I'm really trying to work on it. I can get you a fried egg. That's pretty much it. But it's exhausting. Like, these people that I work with genuinely actually come home, go grocery shopping, clean house, and cook dinner for their 3-4 kids. And they're on the phone at work talking to the kids, making them do their homework. I'm like, I have 5 patients to keep up with. I can't keep up with myself at the moment. And you're managing them, you're managing your patients, and then you're going to go home and manage them some more. And that is just mind-blowing to me. Anyways, we don't get to live through the lens of knowing. We don't get to live through the lens of knowing Naomi will soon hold Obed, who will be the grandfather of King David and relative of the Messiah. Even though she's going to cry for years over her 3 losses, we don't get to know that about our lives. We get to know it about hers because we jumped ahead, but we can't jump ahead in our own lives. We don't get to live through the lens of knowing Rachel and Leah built up the house of Israel together. We don't get to know that. We don't have that lens, and we never will. We don't taste life as a meal. We don't. We experience the ingredients of that meal in everyday life. And Stephen Furtick, the one who wrote most of the sermon, he actually gave an example. And I love this just because this is like a thing at my house. I don't know if it's a thing for y'all, but he was giving an example of his wife in the kitchen. And he went to throw away the grease that she had from the sausage. And she immediately had whipped around and said, "Don't throw the grease out. I'm about to use it." And then she said, "Get out of my kitchen." She wanted that grease to stay because that's how she was going to cook his eggs. That's how we do our eggs in our house. If we cook bacon or sausage, that grease. We don't use all of it. We use a little bit of it to put in those eggs, though. She was going to use that grease because by itself, you're not going to chow down on some grease. That's not how this works. And if you do that, you really need to get some blood work done because your cholesterol is probably really high. So, and I'm probably going to judge you a little bit. But she was going to use it to make something that already tastes good taste even better. And God is going to use the grease in your life to make something else. It's His kitchen, and we don't need to be in there taste testing everything, telling Him that it doesn't look good or it doesn't taste good. Because if you ever done that to your mother, I made the mistake of it. I went in there, I was like, that does not look very good. She goes, "I'm not done. Get out. And then you will try it. And if you don't like it, dinner's on you." And that's kind of how God is. It's His kitchen. He's got to put the ingredients together. We don't know what He's making, but we know it's going to be good. We know it's going to be really good. So stop trying to get rid of the grease and let God mix it together. So don't judge anything. Don't judge no thing before the appointed time. Ruth lost her husband and found herself in a field, in Boaz's field. And Boaz and Ruth produced a son, and they became a part of David's genealogy. That baby was then held in Naomi's arms, the woman that was heartbroken and referred to herself as bitter just a few chapters ago. What looks messy and meaningless to us, from God's perspective, an intentional and precise way He is working to establish His kingdom. He takes what appears to be loose, broken, and unrelated threads, and you could feel this way about your circumstance, or you could feel it about yourself. I have been there where I genuinely have just felt broken, not the situation, just me in general. And He reveals how He was weaving something eternally beautiful all along. It's like that Bible study I did at camp one time. where I always forget the name of this movie. It's with what's his name? He plays Ace Ventura.
She's got mail.
What? No. He's Ace Ventura with the little fro thing. He also played in
Jim Carrey.
Thank you. Yes, it's one of his movies. What?
Yes, man.
No, it's not that. It's not that. I forget. I'll put it in the group maybe because
Grinch.
that. No.
Dumb and Dumber.
It's like I don't know, but it's literally a picture of Jim Carrey's face. That's the movie, like.
Ruth Almighty.
The Mask.
Is that him?
Truman Show. Be myself and I'm
Truman
free.
Show. Wait, is it Truman Show? Okay, y'all are making me Google this right now, so I'm really sorry. Pause.
The number?
No.
23?
Haley says Bruce Almighty.
No, that is one of the movies he plays in. It's the Truman Show.
Yeah.
I think. Let me. Yes. Thank you, Jackson. It is the Truman Show. I wished I could just but I can't because it's literally on my computer screen. Real sorry. But if y'all want to Google this, it's the Truman Show, and it's that image of Jim Carrey from the movie. But if you zoom into these pictures, because it's very pixelated, and it's pixelated for a reason, it is scenes from that movie. And in some of these scenes, you're going to see someone laughing, you're going to see someone crying, you're going to I don't know, I've never really watched it, but if you zoom in, there's all these different emotions going on in every scene, but they come together to make an image. And it may not be the best image, this may not be the best example, but my point is it does come together. And that is all I have for you lovely humans. So, thoughts, prayer requests,
I was kind of hoping you were gonna get all riled up like Steven does.
No, not. Maybe if I was actually talking to a crowd and I wasn't at my computer, because I just feel that's a little excessive to be yelling at a screen. And my parents are literally right down the hall, so they'd be freaking out, thinking what the actual heck is going on in our daughter's room. So no. But yes, I did get really excited typing it up, if that counts for anything. So.
Yeah.
So, anything else? Any good news, fun facts? I don't know. A joke of the day. Kyle, you do have good news. You little twit.
It's okay news.
Oh,
It's not
it's-
bad news.
Did you do good on a test?
I mean, I did as bad as I could have without getting sick.
Listen, when you're in the program, C's get degrees. It does not matter what else you make. Genuinely, I never cared. If I was only 2 points past, I don't even remember the actual grading thing. Because it's different.
Make it a lot easier in the end.
I don't know. No, I was just thankful for anything. Anything God would give me, I was like, please, because there's no way. I blacked out during those tests. I really could not remember a thing once I turned them in. So, I don't know. I panic, and it's just, I would literally have tunnel vision trying to take home. Wow, PTSD. I hate it when they give me tests at work now, too. I get really nervous.
So, Kyle, what'd you get? Because I promise you one thing, my man. I've gotten a lot worse grades on tests before, so.
I got a 78, but